Episode 134. The future doesn't exist.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
Is everybody ready for the weekend? Welcome to episode 134 of the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. Now, that is being said, let's get down to today's episode, which is about the fact that the future doesn't exist. Well, at least that's the scientific definition at the moment, because despite many indications, nobody's really proven a multiverse where, the future could be already written and, there could be a multiverse which is 5 minutes ahead and another one that's 5 minutes behind. And there's a lot of theories, but the current fact, and no one has really disproven it, is that the future doesn't exist. Oh, and by the way, God ain't gonna make it for you. Kind of like a spoiler to this episode. So everybody and their dog are constantly talking about what they want from the future. So basically, the poor mother future is being ass-raped every day, billions of times, because people express what they demand of her and what they demand from their future, and that they have a right to a prosperous future and blah. Problem is, all of this bitching isn't gonna get you anywhere, simply because the future, as we determined on Tuesday, is a product of your actions, period. And I wanted to go into a little more detail about what I briefly tried to touch on Tuesday, which is that decisions that you make inevitably influence your future, and most importantly, shape your future, right? If you, try to break somebody's nose, there's a high probability that you're going to get some kind of reaction from them in the foreseeable future, right? Either they're going to retaliate, or they're going to call the cops, or they're going to call their attorney, and you're going to have a bad time. And so the way you make decisions is important and can have a positive or a negative influence on your foreseeable future. Let's stay with that example for a short while, okay? So you have this asshole in front of you who is pushing your buttons, and you're about to break their nose, or whatever body parts are more comfortable for you to break. And things kind of start to play around in your head. Are you that impulsive person, right? Do you make decisions based on impulses? Or are you the calmer person that is able to swallow an insult and say, I'm superior to you? Anyhow, I know you're wrong. That's a part of the ego problem that we're going to get to in another episode. I know I'm right. I know you're wrong. Let's not talk about this anymore. We're done here. And you walk out of the situation. Or you have the possibility to negatively influence your future. You jump across the desk, you break the asshole's nose, or scratch their face, or whatever suits your fancy in your most violent fantasies. And there are going to be negative consequences in your foreseeable future, in any case. But, perhaps even in your distant future, because that's going to influence whatever you do. There's this great array of movies, this trilogy called Back to the Future. I'm quite sure everyone remembers it, right? And I think there is no better portrayal in cineastic history that outlines more clearly of what negative and positive influences on the future your actions have, period, right? Remember when, Marty tried to get rich and smuggled that almanac into the DeLorean and went back to the past, and tried to get rich off of the thing. And, things start to happen, and they can happen positively, but they can also have a negative outcome. So, bottom line, the future doesn't exist. Now, how do we make the future? How do we influence the future, right? I think we've been through it. On Tuesday, we discussed about awareness and the present moment. And that's why the present moment is so much more important than any vision of you that you have of the future. And that you spend time dreaming of your beautiful big house and your beautiful trophy husband or wife and your beautiful children and that glorious moment that you plant the tree in front of the house that you just bought and whatever. That's not there yet. Don't waste time on it. Take that time, which you're de facto wasting on dreams about the future, and actually making your dreams a reality by taking action in the present moment and by taking the correct action, right? So another example are those people dwelling in the past. And while it's true and very true that you can learn a lot by mistakes that you made in the past, and you can very positively influence your future by having learned those lessons, it's still up to the present moment always to make those decisions, those correct decisions, those informed decisions, which will positively influence your future. And so I conclude, I always wanted to say that, and we're under 10 minutes, God. The future is what you make of it. It's not about all of those pictures that God is going to send you a blessing on Facebook. It's not about that some Nigerian prince promises you exceptional wealth if you react to this meme picture on Twitter. It's about the time you spend there, reducing it, and using that time effectively to shape your future, to start a side hustle, to educate yourself on finances, to go out and look for that dream partner of yours. It's not that God's going to be or anybody's going to be looking. It's got to be you. And the moment you find that person you want to spend the rest of your life with, that's when the future begins, a joint future, right? And putting that in line is a totally different story. We're going to go over that in a different episode. But yeah, until now, I think I've made my point clear. Don't dwell in the past. Don't dwell in the future. Take action in the present moment. As always, if you have found this episode valuable for yourself, please make sure to share it with all your friends and family. If you know someone that has issues in being stuck in the past, make sure to share it with them. If you have people dreaming of a future and running in the hamster wheel unsuccessfully, share this episode with them also. If you haven't subscribed to this podcast, do so now. And if you have any feedback, criticism, or whatever, please direct it to the very best podcast in the world at gmail.com. In that sense, I'm out for today. Tomorrow, we're going to be exercising again. No, by God, not physically, mentally. That is, if you taking a pen and a sheet of paper as physical exercise, we might be crossing that line. But until then, I wish you a successful day. If you've already had your successful day, have a good night. Leave your hands above the blanket, the probably most valuable advice of this podcast. And we'll be back in touch tomorrow. Stay safe. Peace out.